Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today, we are going to look at the core fabric of shonen manga, fights. One Piece has had some particularly spectacular battles over the last 2 decades, but some of these conflicts are in an absolute league of their own and have taken extraordinary amounts of time to resolve. And it is these fights that we are going to highlight today. To be clear, the selection criteria for this list is fairly simple. The fight needs to be canon, so it needs to have happened in the manga. And in terms of judging time, we are going by how much time has passed in the world of One Piece, rather than how much time has literally passed on screen. And that's it really, so with that out of the way, let's begin. Welcome to the top 5 longest fights in One Piece. Number 5. Luffy and Nami vs. Cracker. Starting off this list, we have the surprisingly effective duo of Luffy and Nami going up against one of Big Mom's sweet commanders, Charlotte Cracker. The conflict between these three lasted a brutal 11 hours, leaving everyone exasperated and exhausted by the end. The main reason why this fight went on for so long is due to Cracker's absurdly strong biscuit armor, and his devil fruit allowed him to create new armor seemingly infinitely. So Cracker took very little physical damage from Luffy over the course of the 11 hours, and this fight entered into a battle of attrition. On the side of the Straw Hats, the strategy became to have Nami wet the biscuit armor with her climate act, and then have Luffy continuously eat them. So in reality, this was less of a battle and more of a test of endurance to see just how much Luffy can eat. As it turns out, he can eat roughly 11 hours worth of biscuits, and as a result of this discovery, he created a new Gear 4th form, known as Tank Man. Cracker, seeing that Luffy was at his eating limit, then attempted to strike Luffy, but was sent flying with extreme force into Whole Cake Chateau, knocking him unconscious and ending the 11-hour fight. Number 4. Ace vs. Jinbei. Alright, if you thought that 11 hours was a long time, then get ready, because this fight lasted an incredible 5 days. So what started all of this? Well, before Luffy set out on his journey, Ace was well ahead of him and already the captain of his own crew, known as the Spade Pirates. At the time, Ace's ambition was to kill his father's old rival, Whitebeard, and on the hunt for the strongest man in the world, he encountered Jinbei, who stood in Ace's way. This occurred because at the time Whitebeard was the protector of Jinbei's home of Fishman Island, and he saw Whitebeard as a heroic figure, someone to look up to and to be respected. And so Jinbei readily fought Ace for a non-stop 5 whole days. And this battle only came to a conclusion after the two of them simultaneously collapsed of exhaustion. And just a side note, although the two started out in the worst way possible, they did come to respect each other quite heavily and even became friends. Number 3. Jack vs. the Mink Tribe. So we may have a bit of contention here because Jack vs. the Minks also lasted 5 days, just like Ace vs. Jinbei. So why is this number 3 instead of number 4? Well, honestly, I have no particularly good reason as to why, but what I can say is that this fight is probably one of the most brutal we've seen in the series so far. As one of Kaido's 3 calamities, Jack the Drought was sent to the island of Zou in search of a member of the Wano country named Raizo. The Minks denied that Raizo was on the island, causing the easily irritated Jack to commence a 5-day bloodbath assault against the entire Mink tribe. But the really interesting thing about this fight is that the 2 Mink leaders took turns to face Jack. Inuarashi and his forces fought Jack during the day, and when the sun went down, out popped Nekomamushi and his army of Minks. It was said that the Minks had the upper hand against Jack's extended forces, however they simply could not overcome Jack himself. At the same time, Jack also couldn't overcome Nekomamushi and Inuarashi, so on the 5th day, Jack used a chemical weapon known as Koro to poison the Minks and end the battle. Number 2. Aokiji vs. Akainu. We're going to have another big leap here because the fight between these two former Marine admirals lasted an astonishing 10 days. Following the Paramount War, then Fleet Admiral Sengoku announced his retirement, leaving an opening for the top position amongst the Marines. Now, Sengoku himself nominated Aokiji to become the next Fleet Admiral, however when all was said and done, it was Akainu who received the official nomination for the position. However, considering the two have such drastically differing views on justice, this obviously didn't sit well with Aokiji. As a result, the 2 admirals adjourned to the abandoned island of Punk Hazard and fought for the rank of Fleet Admiral. After 10 hard-fought days, Akainu scene would emerge as the victor, however both combatants received serious injuries. Furthermore, this battle was so fierce that it permanently changed the climate of Punk Hazard, and reshaped the island into this Pokeball formation that you see here. To this day, half of the island is scorchingly hot, while the other is freezing cold. But you know, while 10 days does seem like a long time, it really pales in comparison to number 1. Dory versus Brocky. There is no fight in the series that can even come close to the length of this conflict, because these two best friends have been fighting for over 100 years. Yes, you heard me correctly, years. Dory and Broggy were formerly co-captains of the Giant Warrior pirate crew, which was composed entirely of fellow giants and known as one of the most fearsome crews in the world. Now at this stage, it is very important to touch on the fact that giants are incredibly proud and honourable people, so much so that they would gladly die in pursuit of these ideals. And that's how this all began. One day, both Dory and Broggy had been out hunting sea kings, which, you know, is what you do when you're a giant, but while celebrating their catches, a little girl asked the giants which of the sea kings was bigger. Neither giant could agree on which of their catches was larger, and so as per the rules of giant culture, they began a duel to settle their differences. The two chose the island of Little Garden as their battleground, and commenced their century-long battle. And unlike every other fight on this list, this one still hasn't ended. To this day, Dory and Broggy are still engaged in this conflict of honor, and there's no guarantee that it will even end by the time the series is over. And that pretty much does it for the longest fights in One Piece. If you enjoyed this video, then feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and please do comment with your thoughts about these heavily extended bouts. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.